In the third in the series Homeworks, we look at how artists use landscape and memory in their work. To do this, we look at paintings from the Hugh Lane collection by artists Elizabeth Magill and Ciaran Lennon. Elizabeth Magill's painting, Close, depicts a road, some trees, and in the distance a telegraph pole and some houses. The sky is a vivid purple and has rhinestone stars scattered through it. It looks like it is probably dusk or dawn, the edge of a town or suburb. Perhaps the viewer is walking home in the half-light, and the title suggests that they are getting closer. Maybe this is a relief because in some ways the atmosphere is both peaceful and beautiful, but at the same time a little bit spooky or uncanny. Magill was born in County Antrim and says that her work contains memories or recollections of landscapes where she was raised. The overall pinky-purple hue suggests dawn or dusk, but it could also suggest a memory, where the view is a bit hazy with time. In Grayscale 2, once again, she is dealing with a landscape at a particular time of day and without direct light. There are trees in the background covered by a whitewash to suggest mist or maybe rain, and then some sharper branches in the foreground. Once again, there is a feeling that this could be a real observed landscape or something conjured up from memory or even a dream. Magill makes these kinds of paintings in a particular way. Starting with a canvas lying flat on the floor of the studio, she pours very transparent liquid paint to coat the surface and repeats the process a few times. When a scenario appears from the way the paint dries randomly, she paints a foreground of trees, houses, and other items on top. Ciaran Lennon made these two paintings on pieces of copper stuck on wood. The comic of the title is the river that runs through the Dublin suburbs of Inchicore and Kilmainham, among others. The paintings were allegedly sparked by Lennon's memory of going for walks as a child along the river. There was a wall along the path which was too high for him to see over, and every now and then there were small rectangular gaps in the wall where as a child he could glimpse the rushing river. He noticed as a child that every time he saw the river it was a different shade. In this work, instead of painting the river as such, he uses a method of paint application to mimic the falling water. In these paintings, there are many layers of colour, with the layers underneath showing through. In the painting on the right, you can see how many underlying layers there are by looking at the drips at the bottom of the work. Both Magill and Lennon are painting largely from imagination, memory, and possibly a few photographic references. If you would like to try your own landscape from memory, it is easier if you have a visual reference to work from. You will need something to paint on. This could be any found material, wood, cardboard, or a heavy paper or canvas. It should be small, around A5 size. Coat it in gesso, or, if you don't have that, acrylic house paint mixed with a little PVA glue will do. This helps the paint to stick to the surface and seals the surface if it is cardboard or something like that. While you're leaving it to dry, get another A5 sheet, this time paper. Make a landscape collage using around 5 pieces of paper torn from a magazine. Select your colours carefully from the magazine. It works best if there are some shades that are close together. Stick your torn magazine sheets to the paper and trim the edges so there are no white bits of paper appearing. This shouldn't take too long, so you can make a few collages for later. Now consider the colours you have chosen, and on a palette or dinner plate, put out a selection of colours you might need for mixing. On a second plate, mix the colours in your collage. Put on some music and take lots of time doing this, as it is one of the most important steps and one of the most important skills you can learn when learning to paint. The colours don't need to be identical to the colours in the collage, but they do need to be mixed. Don't be skimpy with the paint. Mix up generous amounts of your chosen colours. You could also mix 1 or 2 additional shades of each colour you have mixed, lighter or darker. When you have all of your 5 colours or so mixed and ready, get a thick paintbrush, you can even use a house painting brush, and apply the first colour generously. Clean your brush with water and dry with a kitchen towel. This will prevent the paint you're using from getting too watery. Continue till you have filled your cardboard or canvas. You can go back over it now and apply a slightly different shade of each colour with a smaller brush to add more depth. Mix, blend and play with the paint. In our example, we have a bright sun. We will need to wait for the blue shades to dry before we can paint the sun over them. When you are finished, don't forget to take a picture and tweet it at us so we can share it with our followers. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the Hugh Lane Gallery soon.